Hi guys, you're welcome. In my previous video, I had shared how to cut this bubu that I'm sewing right now in this video. If you have not watched it, please, I encourage you to go and watch it so you can follow up on this part which has to do with the sewing. So what I'm doing right now is I've already placed my facing the front side facing the front, and I'm going ahead to sew the neckline. The part you're going to sew is the part that has an opening. The part that has an opening, you're not sewing the neck all around. After doing that, you're going to go ahead to fold the sleeve parts. I've gone ahead to already weave the tip, but if you don't have a weaving machine, you can just fold it into two, and you'll be able to cover the rough edges, because you will not just go ahead to fold it like that. Now what I'm doing here is to put a hemming gum underneath the facing, because I don't just want the facing flying and not being relaxed to the fabric. So you put a hemming gum round the facing like so, and the facing is able to relax well on the clothes. I've gone ahead to fold in the pocket, and the part that is going to be open, I folded it by 1.5 inch, and I also used the hemming gum to secure that part that is going to be open. Now the length of the pocket is 9 inches after folding it in, and the width of the pocket is 8 inches. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to place my tape on the shoulder line, and then come down 2 inches after my half length. My half length is 17, and I'm coming down by 2 inches, which is 19, and that is where the pocket is going to be starting from. From the center line of the dress, you're going to come in by 2 inches. If your bubu is a bit wider, I would advise you go in by maybe 2.5 or 3 inches, but for me I did 2 inches because of the size I am working with. The next thing you want to do is to place the pocket at that 19 inches you have marked from your shoulder line, and also make sure it aligns with the 2 inches you have marked from the center of the gown. Now after you've carefully done this, if you want to make sure the pocket is stable and is not moving, you can pin it down. Then what I'm going to do now is to trace out the shape of the pockets. You have to do this carefully. To be on the safe side, I would suggest you actually pin it down, but I was able to do it without having to pin it down. So I'm going to trace out the pockets, and on those lines I'm tracing out is what will serve as a guideline when I'm going to be sewing the ruffles on the gown. Thank you for watching to this point. Please don't forget to like, don't forget to also subscribe. Thank you. Now I've gone ahead to join the net, and I've also gone ahead to set my gathers in place. Now I'm going to be sewing on that line which I've already marked out. Don't sew directly on the line. You have to come in a bit so that the pocket can actually fit in. Remember, the line is just serving as a guide. So you are going to do this, sew it round the line that has been created on the fabric. I hope you're enjoying this, guys. I really do hope you're enjoying it. Something simple that you can actually make for yourself, even if you're a beginner, and you can wear it to church, wear it to see a family friend. You can make it for your mom, whatever. I don't know. But I hope you're enjoying it watching to this point. See, for the sake of time, I just have to compress and make all this fast. The video is actually fast paced, but when sewing this, you really have to be patient and take your time. Don't be in a hurry. Sewing it is not as fast as it appears in this video, so it's something you have to take your time. Now when you get to the end, and even at the beginning, make sure you fold in the edge or the last part of the net so that it gives a neat look. Now after sewing it round, I'm going to trim off the excesses. I'm going to trim it off so that when you sew the pocket on the net, it is not the edges will not be looking what word should I use now? It's not going to be looking or appearing to appearing to be voluminous. That's English. So after doing that, I'm now going to go ahead to place the pockets on the net. You can see it's all coming together. Now make sure you pin it down. This one you have to, don't form James Bond in this one, you have to pin it down. After pinning it down, then you are going to go ahead to sew it at the edges round, like you will see me doing. After doing this, you also go ahead to do for the other parts, the other side of the gown.
Jesus, you're my everything. You're the light that shines through me. You are the treasure that I have in you. I'm truly satisfied. Oluwatos, Oluwatos, the Jesus that I know is enough for me. Oluwatos, Oluwatos, the Jesus that I know is enough for me.
I've gone ahead to cut the drawstring. It's about 34.5 inches long, and then you can decide to fold it in like this, or you can decide to turn it the front side facing the front. You sew it down, and then you use maybe like a broom or a very tiny iron to turn it through. But for me, I'm just going to go ahead to fold it into two to turn it in like this. I've already gone ahead to prepare the two strands that I'll be needing for the drawstrings, and then I also gone ahead to cut a casing for the drawstring to pass through. Now if you don't have a weaving machine to weave the edges of the casing that you have created, you fold the edges, and then you also make sure to create a center line. The center line you've created on the casing, make sure it aligns with the shoulder line, and then you go ahead to sew the edges like so. Make sure that the side where is facing this, that's the hem of the sleeve, you do not place the casing directly on the beginning, but you come up by something like half an inch, just like you see how I have placed it on the fabric too. Now when sewing, make sure you don't close, that's cross the sewing at the edge at the point where you marked 8.5 inch, because if you are to do that, the drawstring will not be able to pass through. So you just sew straight line from the down to the top to 8.5. You stop, you go to the center, double stitch, you sew it to the down, and then you go to the side, double stitch, you sew it to the down, you double stitch. Now I'm using a safety pin to be able to pass in the drawstring for the sleeve. The next thing you want to do is to go ahead to close your measurements on both sides. I actually used 1 inch when I was cutting, but I ended up using half an inch. Now after running the stitch through from the sleeve to this point, you come down by half an inch, and then you back stitch, you double stitch and end there. Then you go to your pressing table, and then you fold in the allowance for the opening. That is if yours is a long dress, but if it is not a long dress, there is no need for this opening. But mine has this opening because it's a long dress, and so I'm just going to sew along the edges of the folding I have created. The next thing I'm going to be doing is to measure along the neckline. Now starting from the beginning, you take note of what the measurements you have on the shoulder line, and for this neck it is 4.5. Then going on, you'd measure to the end, and what I have is 8.1, and that's I would say 16 1/4. Now you're going to go ahead to cut it out on the paper first. Cut out the pattern on the paper first and watch closely to see how I'm marking it out. I first of all marked out the actual measurement, which is 8 1/4, and then marked in the 4.5, which is what we marked from the beginning of the neck to the shoulder line, and I've come up by 1 inch like this. After creating this line, I'm now going to connect the line from there to the 4.5 inch that I marked. Now I'm making use of 1.5 inch for the wideness of the neck. By the time I'm done sewing, I should be having around 1 inch on or 1/4 when I'm done attaching the neckline to the clothes. So you do well to measure the 1.5 inch round like so. Now I'm adding 1/2 inch for the sewing allowance for the when I'm going to be closing the neckline. Just watch closely and you see how I'm going about it. Don't worry, we are almost done with this beautiful piece.
You are the treasure that I have in you. I'm truly satisfied. Oluwatos, the Jesus that I know is enough for me. Oluwatos, the Jesus that I know is enough for me.
At this point, I've already gone ahead to add an interface on the wrong side of my fabric, and then placing the pattern of the neck we have already cut out, of the collar we've cut out on it, and I am cutting it exactly the same measurement which I have on the paper. You are going to be needing a 2-piece for this. Now you're going to pick one of the neck which you have cut out, and I'll just create a little notch like this, and from that point where I created the notch, I'm going to fold it in and press it all around. Now after ironing, I'm going to go ahead to notch the center of both neck piece, and then join both of it together. Make sure the center of the one side meets the other side. For easy sewing, you can decide to pin it all through so that it's easy for you to sew on the machine. Then after pinning it, you just make use of the 1/2 inch which was added to close the neckline. Once you're done sewing it, you go ahead to notch the edges like so that when you go over to your pressing table to iron it, it is going to relax properly. Now once you're done doing this, you place this other side that you did not fold the edge, you place it on the wrong side of the fabric, that is on the wrong side on the fabric, and you make sure the center meets the center. and you pin it down. For easy sewing, you can pin it all round before going ahead to sew, but I just made sure the center aligns with the center, then I went ahead to sew it down like so. Now once you're done sewing, you just turn it over to the other side, and then that's why we created that folding initially, to make it easy for you to be able to sew and make your sewing neat. Then you just run a stitch down from the beginning to the end. Once you're done doing that, then your neck is fixed. So once you're done sewing, you should have something like this. And this is the end of our tutorial. Thank you for watching to this point. This is the final outlook of the dress. I am really loving the outlook. If you want, you can leave your sleeve like this, but if you don't like it like this, you can also decide to draw the string like this, and you create a little bit of ruffles on the sleeve. Thank you for watching. Bye. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and also share this video. Thank you.